up a little bit and then let Forrest kick things off. But let me go ahead and introduce you, if you haven't seen it before, to the world's simplest business model that is the whole framing of why we're here and what we're going to talk about. Give me a thumbs up if you can see that in the chat. All right, John, Sea to Sky Facility Maintenance, welcome. We got Vancouver, Canada, make a lot of money. You know what, Dominic? You call it out. You say it how it is. I respect that. Sales and technicians. We'll call this the demand that you generate over here on the left side, your sales, your marketing efforts, and then your supply, the people that you have on your team. If you are a service business, a home service business owner, you don't sell paint or soaps, you have people. And that is your product. Your services is your product. And to be able to supply that, you have to make sure that your scales are balanced. So when we kind of take a look at this Seesaw model, it can look like this. You know, maybe you don't have enough sales and marketing coming in and you deal with that stressful point where you have to talk to your guys and maybe lace them off. It's a rough position to be. You have no work on the schedule tomorrow. Or inversely, you don't have enough people. You have lots of demand. You're getting booked out, you know, a month, 2 months on the schedule. And now your customers are frustrated. You're also losing revenue. Both of these things can be big problems. And the reason why we decided to do a joint webinar together is because we're going to talk about driving growth on both sides of this seesaw at the same time. Otherwise, you find yourself like I was on the seesaw trap. This is a sweaty Brandon who was working nights and weekends and just trying to get things done. When I had my construction business, I was in this feast or famine where I'd go run out and sell the job, go out and do the job, and just kept repeating that cycle. It can happen as an owner operator. It can happen as a larger organization, especially when you feel like, I don't know if I want to hire yet because what happens if the work's not there? Well, the only way that you can grow is to drive on both sides of the equation at the same time. So for me personally, my panic attack that I had, we were booked out 6 to 8 weeks with my cleaning business. We had just started growing, had about 7 employees. Business was booming. Half of my team quit. And like literally it's Brandon back on the tools, doing the thing, trying to keep up with the demand. And all of a sudden my seesaw was completely off kilter and I had to focus very, very hard on the hiring side of things. You know, literally every single thing, doing it back in the field myself. The business still wasn't stable. But with some of the things that I'm going to be walking through in my section, we completely turned that business around. We started growing. We doubled and tripled every single year after that point. We had over 70 technicians. We had hired 25 people in 30 days for our last season, ramping up in the busy season. We were adding 1 truck a month for 12 months. And this is not just a function of we got really good at hiring people, although we did. We also got really good at marketing and understanding our marketing, understanding a lot of the things that Forrest is an expert on, that he is going to be walking you through on the marketing side of things. So that's going to kind of frame the seesaw concept that we're going to be talking about. And I'd like to hand it back over to Forrest to drive on the marketing side. And I, towards the end of this, will go through on the hiring and recruiting the people side. And by the way, we also have a lot of really, really cool ways to give away anyone that stays to the end, because we are going to, you know, not only invite you to get on the call to learn a little bit more about what each of us do, because, you know, that's why we're doing this, but we also want to give you a lot of value as well. And so as a thank you for staying on and getting a lot of value, also have at the end. So Forrest, pass it back over to you, man.
Thank you, Brandon. Yeah, I love that. I mean, put a 1 in the chat if you ever felt like you were all the way to one side of the seesaw, like you have way too much work and not enough team, or you have too much team and not enough work. If you've ever been on full tilt on either side, put a 1 in the chat so we can kind of relay that you've been there and this is something we can help with. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Nick's been there. John's been there. Jared's been there. Other John's been there. This is definitely a common thing. Like it feels like you can never quite balance. It's either one or the other. And so we wanted to kind of focus both of them at the same time. And so if you guys don't know Brandon, I just want to kind of prop him up a little bit because he's too humble to prop himself up. But he's grown and exited multiple home service businesses. He started with a window cleaning company and soft washing, sold that, built a coaching company, sold that to House Call Pro. And now he has a few more companies that he's working on building and selling. And so he knows this stuff better than anybody. that you can really ever talk to. But let's talk about the marketing side and how we're going to get some leads coming into the pipeline. Who's ready for that? Put a 2 in the chat if you're ready to see how you can get some more leads.
Let's go. By the way, Forrest does all of our marketing. I just want to call him out. He's been a buddy of mine for a long time, and he's got a lot of good gems. He's built a lot of value for us in my different businesses.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, can you guys see my screen? You can see it, Brandon? Cool. Yep. So the idea is, how do we generate as many leads as we can handle? And as you can handle is kind of in reference to that seesaw, right? Like we want to, anytime the calendar is empty or slow, we can ramp it up so it's more consistent and predictable. So we have more control over our destiny. We're not just hoping that Google blesses us with some leads here and there. We're taking things into our control. And the best way that I found to do that is through Facebook ads, among other things, but that's the one I want to focus on today. So today's mission, I'm going to give you guys the exact framework that we use for our companies, the things I do for Brandon and his companies, and how we drive those leads consistently. So that is what we'll be focusing on. I got a case study for you guys. We're going to actually look what the ads look like. We're going to talk about some of the key concepts behind the ads and like why they actually work and how you can apply that to any ads and any industry that you guys are working in. And then we're going to talk about recording best practices and how you can actually get like on video and do camera. Brandon and I were talking about this today, trying to come up with some ways where we remove that piece. But for now, we still need to get on camera, and we're going to talk about the best way to do that so that your ads come out crisp and clean and you're not like embarrassed to buy them. But really quick, I want to do a quick bio just so you know what this is coming from. I'm going to run through this really fast because I want to leave a lot of time for Brandon's section. I've been in sales and marketing field for 15 years. I started buying businesses in 2023. And in the last 2 years, I've participated in 7 home service acquisitions. And for those, we've generated tens of thousands of leads, probably 20 or 30,000 if you include the clients that we work with. And because of that, we've been able to take 4 of those companies past the $1 million revenue mark. So this is just to kind of show you guys that the stuff we're talking about works. And it's not just theory, it's stuff that we've done in our own businesses. I've been in the agency space for a while, and I really started using the agency as the marketing department. And most recently, we took since updated this, the electrical company that we started in September. In March, we did 174,000. So in 7 months, we did 170K. And so basically, I'm taking all this stuff that we've learned in the field and giving it to you guys to show you exactly how it can be done. So this is our electrical company, one of them, and how we got 293 panel leads in 5 months. I don't know about you guys, Brandon. What do you guys charge for a panel? What's your average ticket for that?
It's about $7,000.
Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about a $7,000 average ticket, and we got 293 leads for that in 5 months. Mm-hmm. So this is Andy. He's my partner in California. It was his first time getting on camera. He's not like a big social media guy or a public face. He's not a big social media user, and he wasn't really sure, but he trusted us. And I said, hey, you need to get on camera and do these. This is going to work. Just trust me on it. And through that, we were able to generate 293 leads in the time period that I measured this, and well into the 6 figures of sales. In California, we're a little bit more expensive. We're more like 8,000 or 9,000 for that same type of job. And then he's getting local recognition. He tells me all the time, he'll go to the grocery store, his mailman will say, hey, you're the Facebook guy. Or he'll go in, what's really cool is he'll go into these estimate appointments and they saw him on camera. He's like a local celebrity to them. And it's really helped him with his close rate as well. 5 Mile famous. Exactly. He's a local celebrity. He's like the billboard guy. And this is the proof. So you can see we did 293 leads for an average lead cost of only $27. So spend $27 for a lead for a $7,000 to $8,000 average ticket. Pretty good. And so this is what the ads look like. Brandon, will you tell me if you can hear the audio on this?
Is it possible to fully upgrade your
really
panel
quiet,
today?
but barely, yeah.
People assume upgrading your electric panel is a massive project. It's not. We handle the permits, coordinate with the utility company, and swap out the panel with 0 drywall damage. We even bring in generator power to keep your refrigerators on, your freezers on, and anything critical that you don't want to lose power to. Most jobs start in the morning and are wrapped up by dinner with clean labeling, room for expansion for future use, and total peace of mind. If your panel is old or overloaded, it's time. Get a free estimate from Kyle Electric today. No pressure, just facts.
You guys notice this, that this is shot on his iPhone. literally in our warehouse. It's like a 2,000 square foot warehouse. It's just shooting on the iPhone. How many of you guys think you could do something like this? If it's just a matter of sticking out your phone and going into the warehouse or your shop and doing this, put a 3 in the chat if you think this is like attainable. And especially if you thought, okay, can I get 63 leads from this for $18 a lead? If you could get a lead cost from that, from just going on camera, how many of you guys think that this is something that's doable? So I'll skip through this other ad because it's very similar, and I want to leave some time. But this second place ad got 39 leads, and actually is a cheaper lead cost, just not as many of them. So one thing to note here is that 80% of your leads are going to come from 20% of the ads. And if you look at that, this is the case. This is it possible ad and this have you ever ad generated almost all of the leads. So in a little bit, I'm going to show you guys how we actually modularize the ads. We break them up into modular pieces that we can remove and swap so that you can find these winners and duplicate them. But 80% of your leads are going to come from 20% of the ads. So it's really important that we get enough volume of ads. And we're not just running one ad and like hope and pray that one's perfect. Instead, we're just saying, hey, we're going to throw up a bunch of these and let the data and the market decide which ones are the best. And we'll double and triple down on those top performers. So this is that modular piece that I was talking about. So we spend 80% of our effort on this first 2 to 5 seconds. Brandon, do you want to guess why we spend all of our time, most of our effort on that first piece?
Because we have the attention span of a goldfish.
Exactly. if you can't capture their attention for this 2 to 5 seconds, then the rest of the ad might as well not even exist.
Is the poop?
Because they're never going to watch it.
Isn't that what it is? What it's called?
Yeah, it's like 8 seconds or something like that. It's crazy. It's probably even less now. That was like pre-TikTok.
Yeah.
So we want to create 5 to 10 versions of this hook, this first 2 to 5 seconds, because that's the most important piece. We got to get them to watch the ad. And so there's different verbiage we can use or different like tested lines that we found work really well. And we insert those, but we really want to work on finding that 2 out of 10 winners that get all the leads. And then in order for us to not have to do way more work, we're just going to do like 2 or 3 versions of the ad meat or the body so that we don't have to do like a full ad for all these 5 to 10 variations. We can just seamlessly port them into the meat so that it just goes in and all we're doing is flipping out this first 2 to 5 seconds. So it's going to save you a ton of time, but get you way more ad volume to find those winners. And then the CTA is pretty basic. That's only going to take 10% too. So this is the other key concept behind it, and it's called the buyer's pyramid. So this is a theory that is pervasive in any market, whether you're selling iPhones, panel upgrades, or epoxy floor coatings. This is the dynamic for every market. And what it's saying here is that only 3% of any market is ready to buy now at any given time. And so think of this as like Google, like people on like SEO or the Google My Business or PPC. These are people who are typing in electrician near me because they know that they have a problem. They know what they need to do to fix it. And they're just trying to figure out, okay, who am I going to call to fix this? And that's what everybody's fighting over, but it's only 3% of the market. What if there was a way to tap into this 7% of the market of people who are open to buying, but they aren't quite ready, or they don't realize that they have a huge problem, and we can talk to them about the symptoms. I have an electrical company, so I use that as an example. There's two brands of panels in this space called Federal Pacific and Zinsco. They have been recalled. The companies are out of business, and they're like, if you have one of these panels, your insurance company won't even cover you for your homeowner's insurance because they're that dangerous. But people don't even know they have it. So then what if we ran an ad and said, hey, do you have one of these types of panels? If you do, you have a big problem. And so then they go down the basement, check it, and give you a call. And so instead of focusing and fighting with all of our competitors in this 3%, we can dip down into this segment of people who are open to buying, which is twice as big and has less than half the competition. So we can nudge them and nurture them into being ready to buy. So that's the buyer's pyramid. That's kind of the philosophy behind why these Facebook ads work, but it's a different approach, right? Because if they don't even know they have a problem and you're treating this Facebook ad channel like you are for Google, because what do we do in Google? We get 5-star reviews. We talk about years of experience and here's the services that we provide. If we just go straight into that, then they're just going to be like, hey, good for you, man. I don't have that problem. Or they don't know they have that problem. I'm just going to go back to what my friends are doing. Whereas if we can agitate the problem or talk about the solutions, like, hey, are your breakers tripping all the time? Do your lights flicker when you plug the microwave in? Like, these are symptoms that they are experiencing. And if we can get them to relate to those, it could, if it's, epoxy floor coatings, it could be, you have dust in the garage that's getting on your car, or there's cracks or stains. Like, any industry, doesn't matter. They're experiencing symptoms of a problem that they don't realize is a bigger problem. And so if we can agitate those problems and get them to relate to it, and then we can talk about the solution. One of the beautiful things about Facebook ads is that they have retargeting. So if someone watches 3 or more seconds of your first ad here, we can retarget them to show them the next one, which is the solution. And so if for panel upgrades, if we're using that example, it's like, hey, we're going to take care of the permits for you. We'll take care of the drywall. We're going to get a backup generator so you never lose power. And we're going to have it done by the time you get home from work. About how easy and convenient the solution is. And then, and only then, do we talk about us as the company. So once we've established they have a problem, we've established what the solution is, that's our chance, and not before that, but then that's when we can say, hey, we've been in business for 10 years. We have 200 5-star Google reviews. We know what we're doing. We're the best in town. And that's when you can actually convert these people. So it's important to realize that these people will have like a slightly longer sales cycle, which is good and bad, because the bad part is it's going to take an extra week to close them. But the good piece is that it's not like a Google lead where if you don't pick up the phone, they're going to call the next guy and just already take care of it. So they have a longer shelf life. So that's the 5 stages of awareness and how that kind of plays into the psychology of the people that we're advertising to. And I had one more in here. I wanted to cover it. No, that's all of them. Okay. As far as what to say, you're probably wondering, okay, like that's nice, but like, what do I actually say on these ads? I'm going to show you what we use for our electrical panel ads. This is an example script where, remember how I talked about how there's 10 different hook variations, and we group them into 3 themes. Theme 1 is fire hazard risk. Theme 2 is an overloaded panel after you have an upgrade. So if you have like a kitchen remodel or you have new appliances, it's going to put more pressure on the panel. And then the third one is an old or underpowered panel. So all 4 of these hook variations fit within this theme. All 3 of these fit within this theme, and then it's going to seamlessly transition into the ad meet. So we always have 3 stages. Like I said, there's the problem awareness stage, the solution awareness stage, and the product awareness stage. And so each of them is going to transition seamlessly into the ad meet. So all 4 of these hooks here seamlessly transition into this first ad meet about fire hazard risk. And so that way, instead of having to create 10 ads from start to finish, now we only had to create 3 ads, and we just did 10 different 2 to 5 second hooks. And so that's how we structure these. We also use something that's important, and you can find there's documents out there. And actually, if you book an appointment with us, I'll throw this in with the goodies that Brandon is doing on the viral hook formulas. So they've gone out and looked at different influencers, and it could be for anything. It could be for skateboarding or home interior design, like for anything. There's a bunch of maybe 25 different viral hook formulas that you can use and just adapt it for your ads. And it's things that gets people's attention. So like most homeowners don't realize the number 1 cause of electrical fires. All these things are actually iterations of those viral hooks. And so I'll share that with you guys if you at the end here.
That was one of the coolest things that you did with us when you started taking over my other company's marketing agency stuff, and all that other work was, creating all the videos. Brandon, here's the ones that I want you to record. Here's your scripts, and just immediately seeing the improvement. Like when you came in, our Wise Coatings businesses, they did substantially better immediately, just because the content and that focus, and just so many agencies just kind of, like they don't give clear enough directions. Like, oh yeah, do you have some videos or do you have some things? But like how prescriptive it was, that was the thing that was huge for me.
Exactly. Like I always think back think about your favorite movie, or like a good example is like Braveheart when he's doing that speech. Like, do you think he was just winging it and he just said, "Yeah, this sounds good. I'm just going to throw something out there," or do you think like he knew down word for word exactly what he was going to say to deliver that punch?
Right.
So having the script really helps, and not only that, Brandon, you talked about how most agencies just kind of grab some like B-roll video, but instead of that, like, what if you put yourself out there on camera to set yourself apart? Because like, think about how many of your competitors are actually going through the effort to put themselves on video and run an ad of them talking with their face out there.
Right.
I heard a stat that it's like 1% of all social media users are actually content posters on a consistent basis. So just by you putting yourself out there, you're in the top 1% on day one.
That's awesome.
And so the rest of these stages repeat. So like what I showed you for this one before, this one and this one are all part of stage one. If you see at the top there, it says problem awareness. So you're going to repeat that for stage two is the problem awareness where you're talking, or the solution awareness where you're talking about the solution. And then you'll do a third one for your product, or which is you. So about, like your credibility and trust factors you'll put there. And then you always have your CTA at the bottom. You want to tell them exactly what to do. So like literally tap below to book your free panel safety inspection, limited spots available this month. You want to tell them exactly what to do and what to expect. So that's as far as what the scripts look like. I'm going to run through this really quick because I want to save some time for Brandon. But as far as recording the ads, because it sounds great to have, ads that are out there producing and generating leads, but then, okay, now I actually have to get on camera. And for some of us, that's no problem. For others, that's like kind of daunting and scary. So I want to run through quick here at the end about some tips and some best practices you can do to make sure that your ads actually turn out really well and they're easy to do and you can do them frequently. So I just want to cover some excuses really quick because that's what they are. First one that people have is they don't have time to do this, but we make time for what's important. So it's not like we just have spare time lying around. So this is an important thing. It only takes, an hour to 90 minutes once a quarter to do. So it's worth investing that time for it. I don't know what to say is a common one, but we just came up with the scripts. So how to pitch your company, how to pitch your service and the problems that the customer is experiencing. So you're just going to write that into a script. And, AI is really good at that these days. So if you just need to go to ChatGPT and tell it this framework of how to do this, then it can help you produce that. Or you can hire us and we'll just tell you exactly what to say. I don't have good recording equipment is another one that I've heard. But if you have a cell phone that's less than 4 or 5 years old, then you have one of the best cameras on the market. And so literally a cell phone is all you need. And then I'm not good on camera is another one I hear. I don't like the way that I sound, but that's everybody at first. I mean, Brandon, you've done a ton of video. How are you first on video when you first?
I don't like watching any of my videos. And it takes me usually like 30 to 40 takes to do things. People are like, wow, that video is so great. But if they only knew that my camera roll had 30 of those takes on there, they might view it a little bit differently. I'm really picky about my stuff. I haven't watched my Map to a Million video series. I don't like it. I don't like watching myself. It's just part of it.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird. It's funny because I had the exact same story. So this was the first video that I did. And this was just a thanks for booking video. Like literally they have to fill out an appointment with me. And this is just afterwards saying, hey, thanks for booking. And it's like a 20-second video, 30-second video. And it still took me 20 takes to do.
Yeah, just congrats, you're leveling up,
Mm-hmm. It's just reps. It's like anything. Like we all suck it when we start out and it's just doing reps and getting past that discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've done hundreds of videos, and I'm sure you're the same, Brandon, you don't even think about it. It's just, I'm just going to go do this video and it's going to get done. So same dude, same face, same voice. The only difference was the number of reps. And so everyone is also capable of doing that. So here are the 5 main things you're going to want to do for your best practices. Record on a newer phone. Make sure you're using the back facing camera. Don't use the one here in the front because it's not as good a quality. So make sure you use the back facing camera. You want to practice it. Like say your lines out loud. I do this every time. I'll say the line at least out loud once to like get the words out and get comfortable saying it. And then I'll actually do the take. And you can do it. You can take 30 takes if you need to. Usually 1 or 2 will do, but But the nice thing is that when it's going to get edited in post, they're just going to take the best one. So you sound like a rock star every time because they're just going to take the best take from that. You're going to want to use a microphone because they've done studies on this, and people will tolerate not great image quality, but they will not tolerate bad audio quality. So if you're standing 20 feet away from the microphone and they can barely hear you, or it's windy, or it's just inaudible, it's unusable. People aren't going to watch. So I'll put a link in here if you guys want. I'll add that for the goodies of a $100 lav mic on Amazon that I use, and it's awesome. I bought it one time, and it's perfect audio quality. You're also going to want to film in different settings, and make sure you have a little bit of B-roll. And that's going to break up the clip, so it's not just your face for 30 seconds or a minute. We're going to break away and have maybe the crew or you walking up to a customer or just doing different things, so it's not just one camera angle the whole time. So I'll go through this because it's pretty simple. We talked about the camera. Say your lines. Make sure you use tonality. You don't want to sound like a robot, so get some energy. Like an analogy I use is like people say that the camera adds 10 pounds. But I'd say it also reduces your energy levels, your perceived energy levels by 20%. So if you need to slap a Red Bull or do some push-ups, just do some higher energy and go above what you normally would, because it's going to get you back to baseline. You also want to look into the camera as much as you can. There is some eye contact software that can fix that, but you want to be looking directly into the camera as much as you can. So like they feel like you're talking to them. And again, 80% and done is better than 90%, 99% and not done. So don't like agonize over the takes, but just get a decent take for each one. This is that microphone I was talking about. Super easy to use. You just plug it into your phone. Filming in different settings is super critical. I recommend at least 3 settings, one for the problem stage, one for the solution stage, and one for the product stage. Because if you did it all in one, people are going to think it's the same ad. So when you retarget them for the next stage, they're going to think it's the same ad they saw the first time, and they're just going to blow right by it. So this was Andy doing his. He's in 3 different settings. It could even be like the same room, just from 3 different angles, but ideally you want to do 3 different settings. Capture some B-roll. So this is, you can hire a videographer for $400 or $500 for a half-day shoot. This is another goodie that I'll throw in the mix is a shot list. So if you're going to put one of these videographers together, you definitely want to send them a shot list beforehand, so you don't blow your money trying to like figure out what should we take videos of. You have a whole list and they just go one by one and knock it down. But this is B-roll, like walking out to the panel or shaking hands with a customer. And little secret, it doesn't have to be an actual customer. This is one of our other business partners, so it could be anybody. You definitely want to get an editor. Easy way to lose a bunch of money is to try to edit it yourself when you could be out in the field selling and doing the work. Editors are mostly, $12 an hour or less. You don't want to spend time on that. And so this is what it looks like when it works well. This is a client that we have. He's actually not far from you, Brandon. He's in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. He sold 3 panel jobs for $27K after doing these for, I think, 45 days. He sold 27 grand and he spent like $2,500. So that's what it looks like when you follow the process. And English is not his first language. So he's a Russian immigrant. He has a little bit of an accent, and he's not a super high energy guy. His ads, honestly, and he'd say this too, his ads weren't like the greatest, but it doesn't matter. They were good enough to get him 27,000 in sales in a month. So I am going to skip through these parts, Brandon, to give you some time. The main 2 takeaways from this, though, are speed to lead and follow-up attempts are the number 1 and 2 factors by far for booking your leads. So when people say the leads suck or the leads are weak, every single time I talk to them, it's because they're not calling fast enough or they're not following up 10 times with their leads. So if you do those 2 things, you will have a booking rate that is at least 20%, probably more like 30 or 40. So I'll run through. Yeah, there was just one more guy. Just to hammer on the point about the 10 follow-ups. This guy started running ads. The first lead that came in, it took him a week to contact this lady. He had to call her like 5 or 6 times. And finally, she didn't even call back. She just texted him. He followed through with the process and he got a $22,000 sale for a panel upgrade because he didn't give up and get mad and say they didn't answer the first time. He stuck with it. So this stuff really does work. So With that, I want to hand it back over to you, Brandon. If you guys have questions, we can answer those before we move on. But I want to hand it back to you, Brandon, to give you time to do your thing.
Right on, man. Awesome. Let's give it up for Forrest. That was awesome. Yeah, the big takeaways for me that I want to make sure everyone is really focusing on: user generated content is everything. And the more that I've seen the people that I coach inside of my own businesses, when we create those unique user generated content and get that over to our agency, everything changes. It's such a big lift, and it doesn't take that much time. It can be some of that $10,000 an hour type of task. It just takes you an hour to record the videos, and it gets you, 4 times better response. Why wouldn't you spend the hour doing that versus going and doing an hour doing something else? Definitely makes a huge impact. And I know that for us, we have to prioritize that in order to actually see those results. Okay, well, let's pick back up on our seesaw analogy. And what I want to do is I want to kind of show you a real life example of the seesaw in action. So let me go ahead and pull this up here and hit share screen. And when we talk about the world's simplest business model, one of the companies that I founded and started was Wise Coatings. And I want to show you exactly what our seesaw looked like there. At the end of the day, it all just comes down to a business model. And I knew that for myself personally, if I could spend $12,000 on Facebook alone, that's it, I could do $120,000 a month in revenue. So the goal for Wise Coatings when I launched it was, how fast can we get to 100 grand a month? How quickly could we hit 7 figures? We went from 0 to 100 grand a month by month 4. And my plan literally from day one was, how fast can I spend $10,000 a month on Facebook ads? And that was our only channel. A lot of people think that you got to use lots and lots of different channels to be able to, do marketing. And there is some value to diversify, but sometimes you can be weak at a lot of different marketing sources versus being a master at one channel. And you can scale up a lot, especially when you do the things that Forrest is talking about, like focusing on one channel and optimizing that and working with that until you actually see results. I've seen people that have spent much, much more on just radio or just direct mail. And try to think about scale and driving down on that if you really want growth. And then on the other side of the seesaw, drive down on your production. So for me and Wise Coatings, I knew that 120 grand in revenue was 2 trucks, 4 technicians. So roughly $60,000 a month for 1 truck, 2 technicians. I would have to spend $6,000 a month in revenue. Now, if I really want to scale this thing, let's do the math. It's nice and easy. It's just a power of 10. If I want to add another truck on the road and get 60 grand a month more revenue, how much more do I have to increase my marketing spend by? Drop it into chat if you're tracking along with me. $6,000. $6,000 I need to spend. So what we don't want to do in the seesaw trap is we don't want to increase our marketing budget by 5 grand, 6 grand, and then wait until we're booked out for 2 months before we then hire, because it takes time and energy and effort. You got to get people trained. When we added 25 employees in 30 days, our marketing budget skyrocketed. We front end loaded it. We hit lots of blasts out. We hit it hard. And the analogy is similar to 2 farmers pray for rain, but only one plants the seed. Who's going to yield a better crop? We can't just pray for something to happen. You have to take action with it. And so to scale up Wise Coatings, we have to focus on driving down on these at the same time. It's not a seesaw. It's chaotic. Yeah, it's fun on a playground. It is not fun in your business. It'll give you a panic attack. Let me tell you. So to scale up to 2 million a month, guess what? We have to spend on marketing $200,000 a month in Facebook ads, which, by the way, Forrest, he's the one that manages that spend for us. He does the creative ads that watches those campaigns. I'm decent at Facebook ads, but nowhere am I a subject matter expert to be able to do it. And likewise, to be able to hire 66 technicians and salespeople and get that truck, get that capital, it requires strategy and it requires timing. And that little fulcrum in the middle is all your systems and everything else in your business. But the most important part is driving down on both of these at the same time. So with Wise Coding specifically, we went from 0 to 7 figures in less than 12 months. We now 39 locations and growing, and we're have 300 technicians on a waiting list and salespeople. So if we need to hire people on demand, we can. And there's a few keys that we're going to talk about before. And the acronym that I like to use whenever I walk through and coach anybody on hiring, and maybe you've heard these 4 keys before, but it's going to be a good reminder for you if you still are struggling with the hiring problems, that you're probably missing a step or missing a component of this that maybe just haven't executed on. And the promise I want you to make is that you're not going to just leave this webinar with information and knowledge and feel good that you learned something today, but that you actually do an action to fix it once and for all. Here's the 4 master keys: message, amplify, score, and top grade. And I'm going to walk through each one of these, but each one of these 4 keys and components is critical to be able to solve your hiring problem once and for all. The first one comes down to your message. Guess what? It's just like marketing. The first half of Forrest's presentation was on message and your hook. Recruiting is marketing. And if you want to convince someone why they should work for you, ask yourself, what is a tougher sell? Convincing someone to buy a new panel, to put a new garage floor coatings in, to clean the exterior of their home, or to convince another human being to spend more of their waking hours working inside of your business than they even spend at home with their own families. And do that for years. You better be a good salesperson if you want to sell someone into why they should make a career decision to join you in your business. It's not a small decision. It can be a life-changing decision to pick the employer that they want to follow and lead and make their livelihood from. So how well are you marketing it? How well are you positioning it? What's your message look like? Are you aware that your employees are your customers? They're your internal customers. And if you imagine your business as a product on a shelf, how does your product actually stand out? It's a good question. If you've never really given it a whole lot of specific, clear thought, you need to. Because employees, they care about certain things when they decide to choose who they want to work for. And oftentimes it's not money. Yes, money is an important consideration. I'm not underplaying the value of good pay. But what people, when they do studies, they often talk about, they actually care about is appreciation, inspiration, recognition, or AIR for short. They want to be inspired. They want to be recognized for their work. They want to feel appreciated. Those are feelings, by the way. And we're emotional, sensitive creatures. Some of us more so than others. But it's a feeling of belonging. It makes sense. They're spending more time with you than potentially their own family at home during their waking hours. They want to have some kind of a feeling of belonging. They want it to be a positive work environment. They don't want it to be cancerous. And then for really good employees, they oftentimes care more about benefits and making sure their family's taken care of. And, they have a feeling of security that their wife or their family members, their parents can look at them and say, wow, you got a great job. You got 401k, you got health benefits, you got, dental. And wow, that's great. So how do we sell and pitch this? Well, it starts with our ads. And then maybe we have videos, maybe we don't. We should, but at a minimum, we want to have good hooks. And the way that I like to start my hooks out with our ads is I like to talk about them, because guess what? People are selfish. They love to talk about themselves. So I talk about who you are. I name their attributes of my desired ideal candidate profile. And a lot of these things that you see in bolded are our core values called out. And we do that intentionally because I want someone to read about our core values and say, hey, that is me. Because then it's going to be more likely they come in and they actually align with our core values. When you are specific in your language, you can attract people to you and you can deter people from you. And that's the goal. We want to do a little bit of magnetic attraction and magnetic repelling of the people that read our ads. So don't be afraid to be bold, to speak how you sound, who you are, who they are, and then talk about your accolades, what's in it for them. Talk about who you are. The way that you know you do it right is when people comment on your ads as the reason why they applied. If no one's telling you that, your ads probably suck. And so you want people to start saying like, your ad just really kind of spoke to me. Go get a copywriter, go have ChatGPT, like sexy it up a little bit. Have a big, long conversation about what makes you unique and what it is. And for us, one of the things that we would call out is we would say, check out what your fellow coworkers say about working at Wise Coatings. And then we had an actual video. Now, I'm not going to play this whole video here right now. I would like you, when you get a chance, to go to YouTube and just search it up and watch it after this. Working and Leveling Up at Wise Coatings is the title of the video. We made this video very intentionally to interview our employees and just ask them why they want to work for us. If you have a hard time answering the question, why would somebody want to work for you? Go ask your employees that are actually working for you and get it on camera, because that is a video that is very attractive to other people who you also would like to work inside your business. And hey, they get to see that there's cool people inside of your company that they would like to work with. People care about who their coworkers are quite a bit. So make sure you check that out and think about, as you're creating videos, how you could put something like this together. For us, I decided to hire a videographer. I paid him, I think it was like, $3 to $5 grand. And he came in for the day and recorded this and edited it all together. But I mean, this video now has been played hundreds of thousands of times.
4,500.
Yeah. Well, on the actual
on YouTube
career pages that we have, it's been played tons and tons and tons of times. And those videos, those specifically, those have such an impact because it gives them an opportunity to kind of sell yourself from the perspective of your employees. So number one, the key is message. We want to make sure that we dial in our message. Key number two is to get that message out there. And we do that by amplifying. If you look at the stats of how many people you have to bring in as a lead or an applicant or someone that has expressed interest in a form somewhere on the internet, by the time it works all the way down through the different stages, through the screening, the interviewing process, and then the final hire, it takes, we've found after now processing, I think we're over 1 million candidates through our HireBus platform now, 100 leads to get one great quality hire. Now, what happens if you only get 50 leads? You get a 0.5 hire. Does anyone know what a 0.5 hire feels like? Have you ever hired a 0.5er before? You know what I'm saying? You know when you got your final short list of people and you're like, man, do I hire the person with a DUI? Do I hire the person who, like smoked like a chimney when they're out on the job site? Or, it's like, or do I hire the guy with all of his teeth? It's like, who should I pick? You want the decision to be hard. Like the way you've done it right is when the people you're talking to, you actually struggle to know, like, man, they're also these ones I'm having a hard time deciding. You have optionality. You get a pick from the best. That's what you need. So it is a volume game. And to do that, you have to be loud. You have to amplify your message out there. If you think about all the different places where people can find you, you have leaners, lookers, lifers, and losers. Okay. I'll explain what this means. When you go post a job ad on Indeed, you're going to find job lookers. They're looking for a new job. You're also going to find losers. It's just part of it. Am I right? Like you're going to get the serial job hoppers, the ones that are on perpetual unemployment and they're only applying so they can keep their unemployment benefits, the cancerous ones that, you're just like, oh man, I would never hire this person. And you got to kind of figure out and sift through them. And that in itself is its own work with job boards. You're not going to get lifers, people that are so happy with their job, they're there for life. So that's, even though they qualify and they'd be a great hire, sorry, you can't get them. But the leaners group, is an interesting group. This is a group of people that they aren't actively today looking for a job, but they bounce on a job board every once in a while just to look, and just kind of like, they're kind of leaning out of their job a little bit, and they're kind of leaning back in, and they're leaning out a little bit more. Or if an opportunity popped up on their screen and interrupted them, they would be interested, but they're loyal. They've been working in the company for a long time. They're the kind of people you want, actually. They don't just up and leave and are always looking for a new job. You want the people that don't change very often careers. But if you could attract them by an ad that interrupts them, and this is people not on job boards or people that are occasionally on job boards that maybe at the exact time when you're trying to find someone, they weren't looking, but maybe in a couple months they will be. And this is why it's so important to always be hiring and to blast out as much as you possibly can. And yes, indeed, ZipRecruiters, Craigslist, all the different places, but meta ads is a really, really, really interesting honey hole of finding people that aren't on job boards. And we've found good success with this. We found good success with running hiring ads on Meta, Facebook, and getting people that aren't actively applying. It's like, Facebook ads versus job boards, or Facebook ads versus Google search. Like, the intent is different. So you need a lot more follow-up. You're going to have to like really, really follow up with people because it's interruption marketing. But there's a good audience segment here that you can find of good people, and amplifying requires you to look at all those different channels.
Brandon, I heard a stat once that I thought was really relevant for this, is that 25% of all US employees are open to switching for a better opportunity at any given moment. So those are the people you're getting in front of. Is 1 out of 4, if you can show them a better opportunity, they're open to switching at any given time.
Yeah, it's so true. And then these are not ones that are like actively searching.
Right. They're usually the best employees.
Yeah.
Like, good employees don't have a hard time finding a job.
Yeah, agreed. Isn't it a little bit of a red flag when you go to hire someone? You're like, how much notice would you need to give your employer? And they're like, 0, I could start tomorrow. or they're like, 0, I'm not employed and have been employed for 3 months. You're like, oh God. Those are challenging. Referrals. You can amplify your message by having your employees turn into ambassadors, right? You ask your customers for referrals. Why wouldn't you ask your internal customers for referrals? You give your customers a referral incentive. Give your employees a referral incentive. Bounties, pay them out based on retention. Hey, they come aboard our team, they stay for 3 to 6 months, we'll pay you X. Works fantastic. Just view yourself now as a recruiter that just so happens to do your service. Keep an eye out wherever you go, have those cards, hand them out to people, and incentivize your teams to do it. Because it's not just Indeed where you can find people. You can find people all over the place. And the larger of a net that you cast, the louder you are with your message, the more likelihood you will find the right amazing rock star. Because it is a volume game. It's a volume game, marketing game. Key number 3, score. I wear rose-colored glasses when I hire employees, and I've been told that I can't hire employees anymore. That's the end of that story.
You see the best in everybody.
I have nothing more to add to that. I just not allowed. I think of all the reasons why they would be perfect on my team. And I need to surround myself with hiring managers and partners that are more critical, that are like, no, this person's not good. I'm like, why? But I could fix them. Like, you don't want projects. You want good, solid people on your team. I found that I shouldn't rely on my gut instincts. I need a system, like I do with everything in my life. And systems of what got me some of my best hires. Steve, one of my operations manager, absolute rock star. Not only was it a system on how I found him and brought him in, but he ran through our scoring process. I have scoring rubrics. I have structured interview questions that confirm core value fits, and we have the HireBus right seat score. HireBus, the right seat score, started out before it was HireBus as what was called the E3 assessment. And this assessment's been around for a long, long, long time. It was typically only reserved for Fortune 500 companies. And, I brought it into the trades after I basically got introduced to the CEO that had this assessment. It's unbelievably powerful. And normally the assessments would cost $50 to $60 a piece. I think the fact that you can get unlimited right seat scores when you're HireBus customers, like people don't really quite fully appreciate what this is. It's like DISC on steroids. It's unbelievably powerful. You can still get all the DISC signals. You can look at dominance and you can look at, extroversion and all that stuff off of here. But it has benchmarks for every role inside of a home service business, whether it's production manager, outside sales, technicians, CSRs, and the formula has only gotten better over time too, where we actually weighed in behaviors, experience, and skills to the mix as well. So our new right seat score is, better than what it even used to be a couple of years ago. And it's only getting better with more data we have on actual hires of people and their performance metrics. So have a scoring system. Key number 4 is top grading. And top grading is a term that I learned from coaches way smarter than me that says you should replace your bottom performers with higher performers regularly. This means firing people on your team that are low performers. And you guys have permission to do so. You don't have to wait for someone to quit. You can actually fire people. It's okay. In fact, you have a moral obligation to protect the culture, to protect the performance, because guess what? Top performers won't tolerate being on teams with low performers. It will burn them out. They don't like it. They will quit. And you don't want to sacrifice good performers because you allow poor performers on your team. And poor performance can be lots of different factors, but it should be, at the end of the day, KPI driven. You should have very specific scoring criteria. This is our dashboards that we have for Volt Vikings. We track our sales leaderboards, our technician leaderboards, what their average ticket, revenue per hour, 5 stars, how many callbacks, what their collections are, what their closing rates are, how many jobs, what their average tickets. Everything is calculated and scored. And because of this, it gives us the ability to be able to see who is on the lowest performer on the team, not out of gut instincts, but out of raw KPI data. And this will put the competitive people that you have on your team to excel and the low performers on your team to almost see themselves out. It shouldn't be a surprise when you fire people. They should see it coming because they've seen the data. They know what's happening. And to top grade, you have to always be hiring. This is just the fact of the matter. You should never turn it off. You should always keep record of who you are. This is when, for All Clean, we would keep a detailed record of every person that we talked to, where they came from, what their score was, their email, their phone. And when we hired 25 people in 30 days, it wasn't off of just all of a sudden ads being cranked up to 11. It was because we had a database and we sent out a text blast and email blast to everyone that we had interviewed over the last 2 years and said, hey, we have an opening. And people that we interviewed 6 months before that, 12 months ago, they may have already had another job. Doesn't matter. They're your customer database. Are they not? Always be hiring. Now, this can be a lot of work. For us, it was nearly a full-time role, certainly during our hiring sprints, for my office manager to handle all of this. And this is why we built Iris. One of the best use cases, in my opinion, for an AI agent is to prevent the wasted time of being on screening calls and mundane, criteria qualification calls. And so Iris actually takes care of texting and emailing and getting behavioral assessments and even the basic initial interview done with candidates, and then scoring them, having the actual conversations, following up with them, and then reading their resume, actually literally reading every line of the resume, reading the whole transcript on the interview, and looking for key markers that demonstrate performance, predictive performance, laying out a behavioral score, and then actually being able to see who should we hire and prioritizing the people that you should actually spend time to do a in-person interview with. And this is why we built Iris. It's less expensive than having a VA do this. And you have someone that is recruiting and hiring for you 24/7. And unlike only a VA, you have all of the scoring capabilities and the intelligence on the predictive side as well. That's data-based, which is just not something that you get even with a full-time EA on your team that manages your recruiting, your hiring. We've had tons and tons and tons of people that have continued to use HireBus. We keep growing more and more and more and more. And we're finding more industries, but we specialize in home services. So if you are interested in checking this out, I'm not going to sell anything to here on the call with you guys because this may be right for you. It may not be. So my offer is if you just book a 30-minute strategy call with us, you're going to get all these things. So we will sit down with you, do the 30-minute strategy call. We'll help you build out a 12-month growth plan, map out, forecast how many hires you'd need. There's some bonus add-ons here, like the career video script kit, always on funnel templates, cost about hire. There's actually a whole bunch more than this, but it's this big document pack. You're going to have written role blueprints for every single position inside of a $20 million company in your industry specifically. And we're building out more and more tools to help our customers and clients. But we'd encourage you to hop in and book your strategy call here. And if you book a strategy call and also book one with, either one of us, Ryan or Forrest is going to show you his link that you can also check out as well. If you want to get on a call with Forrest and learn a little bit more in his team and do a strategy call, we have a joint bundle of resources. So if you book a call with either one of us, maybe you're already a HireBus customer, maybe you're a Dunzo customer, and you're interested in checking out one or the other, we're going to send all this stuff over to you. So we're going to just keep kind of a joint list together, and anyone that signs up will email you the pack. Signs up just to the call, just books a strategy call and explores a little bit more. You don't have to sign up with us because we may say it's not the right fit for you. But would love to get the opportunity to see if we can help you end the panic hiring seesaw that maybe you might be on right now, especially be able to backfill that in with a really solid marketing resource and finally get the growth that you're looking for this year to be able to free yourself up and get a little bit more time freedom. So I'll go ahead and pass it back over to you, Forrest.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, and I highly recommend you guys take him up on that strategy call. I saw the folder, and there's a lot of stuff in there. And this is coming from a guy who's built and sold multiple companies, bigger than pretty much almost anyone that I know. So he knows exactly what it takes to get there. This is just a copy and paste for him at this point. And so he's kind enough to share those resources with you guys. And all you got to do is hop on a call where they're going to help you out with strategy. So no brainer there. There were two questions in here, Brandon, that we can address, and then we can wrap it up.
Sounds good.
So Rick wants to know if you overhire to cover for employee turnover. For instance, if you hire 3 people for one opening to train them all at once with an expectation that 2 will probably resign.
Definitely for sales positions. So, and the reason for that is that sales is one of those ones that especially is a lot more of like a high turnover type position. And so when you have a sales role, I'll typically hire 3, knowing that it's probably going to settle out to be about 2, and either I'll fire someone or they'll end up firing themselves. But for technicians, it just depends on the volume. If I have 30, 40 technicians, plus, and yes, I will overhire by a couple, knowing that we're going to be turning them over. But if you only have 4 or 5 people on your team, you probably aren't going to be overhiring by 1 or 2. But the thing I will say is that I found myself to be more aggressive when it comes to hiring in general, because I want to scale up as fast as I possibly can. And I know that if I can, there is no such thing as overhiring. I can hire people and then I can raise my marketing budget up to create the demand to actually do it. So for me, technicians are kind of the easier part to scale up. And then it's making sure your sales coaching is working really strongly. And then your marketing spend is matching the input to, get that part going. I find I'm usually more indexed on the sales side of the organization than I am the technician side.
I think one of the also key points to take away from this is, Brandon, you talked about having the wait list. So you can basically have people who are ready to hire. So you can tap them in whenever you have an opening. So if you do have some churn, you already have 10 people in line waiting to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, for sure.
And then Jason asked about, how do you know when you need to hire? Is there a certain point, or, he's done sales and marketing technician, but he's not always sure when to hire.
For me in my business, with my exterior cleaning company, if we were booked out for longer than 2 weeks, I would put another truck on the road. And same thing for Wise Coatings. If we were booked out for longer than 2 weeks, I would put another truck on the road. I would also increase my marketing budget to handle that additional demand. So like with Wise Coatings, booked out for longer than 2 weeks, we're starting like booking week 3. My sales guy's already getting frustrated because he knows that's like longer commission cycles. My customers are getting a little bit frustrated. Another truck on the road, 2 more technicians, raising my marketing budget by $6,000. And then by the time they get trained and they get kind of settled up and we get the new, like it may shrink down a little bit, but I know that like for me, it's that 2 week mark is where I like to focus. And
That's a good rule of thumb.
And I just, we may be going into like a slower season or something, but then I just go look for commercial work or interior work or other types of industrial or government or any other type of work that's I know is out there that just may not be peak residential season, but there's still a lot of work to be had, even in more seasonal time periods.
Yeah, you're keeping the guys busy. All right. We could do one more unless you guys are good. We could wrap it up. But I really appreciate you coming on, Brandon. I know you're a busy guy, but this is killer info. And I know that pretty much everyone on the call here has been on one side of the seesaw or the other.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I had a blast. I'd love to catch another question if anyone has any more. And then I'm going to go ahead and create that new QR code and that link and then just put it up on the screen one more time.
Cool. Yeah, we'll give them another 10, 20 seconds because there's a little bit of a delay I've noticed.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. So here is, oops, ended up not downloading. Let me see here. Copy image, paste. Okay. So here's the updated link that has the better link on there. So if you would like to book a strategy call to learn a little bit more about HireBus, you can go ahead and either scan that link or go to this link down here. And happy to chat with you a little bit more. Talk about hiring. We're getting into the busier season. I'm getting slammed.
Dig your well before it's dry.
That's right.
Cool. Well, I don't see any other questions here. So again, thanks for coming on, Brandon. Really appreciate you doing this. We'll send a replay out at the end if anyone wants to review. But thanks for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Okay. Take care, everyone.